Hey, how's it going, everyone? Justin again, as always. Thanks for watching my channel. Welcome back. Today we're going to be troubleshooting a B12251B occupant recognition sensor mat circuit high. Throughout the video, I'll show you how I troubleshot it, and we'll kind of go into direct hit, see what some of the things are that other people have done, and then we will revisit what it is that our findings were. Thanks for watching. Alrighty, 2011 Volkswagen Jetta. My complaint is that that little orange airbag light of doom is on. So today we're going to be using the Solus Edge, not the MaxiSys Elite, as I still haven't heard any further word back from my gear wrench rep. So at this time, we're just going to assume that we're not going to end up with the tool, and we're going to be using the Solus for the diagnosis. So let's go ahead and go into it. We'll see what it does. Okay, so we got to select the vehicle. Automatic ID search. Scan tool has integrated. For your convenience, your scan tool has integrated the vehicle and has acquired a list of actual systems fitted. Continue now to view installation list. Exit at this point if generic full system list preferred. Okay, well, what the hell is that? Okay, that is the car. Let's do we need to go, we're not going to do a full code scan. We're going right into the airbag. Codes only. So our code is a B12251B, seat occupied recognition sensor mat, resistance too high. So this could be a weight sensor in the vehicle. Let's see what this little video graphing chart looks like here. Event code, priority, fault, So this looks like a freeze frame data of when it actually occurred. Alright, so our code is a B12251B, seat occupied recognition sensor mat, resistance too high. That could be a weight sensor in the vehicle that might have a fault. That's what I was told. That could be a possibility. We're going to go on to direct hit and see if we can't find any known repairs or some kind of flow chart for this. Okay, so I didn't have any luck looking it up by the code itself, so I just started to type it in, and then right there it is. So we're going to go ahead and pull this up and see what it is that they suggest. Okay, here we go. Here's some archives, component locations. We're going to go into locations, and then we're also going to go into some diagnostic troubleshooting. I might even pull up a wiring diagram, but let me read through a few of these and see what they're thinking it is. So this is the part that sucks about service information sometimes. So most people have done a seat occupied recognition basic setting test, looked at the parameters, reset some of the values, and had fixed the problem. If we go under diagnostics like I've done and we select one of them, as it's giving you the information on what you need to do, because our circuit's too high, so we'll scroll down to where it's too high, and here's all the information we get. It's literally cut in half, so you can only read half of what it is that you're supposed to do. There's no way to slide the bar over. I've tried rotating it. Rotating it doesn't work whatsoever. It's still cut in half. So I just got to keep on digging and doing some more research. The other things it could be is some bad wiring. You see this with CHRYSLERs and GMs. So I'm just taking a look at some of the sensors and wiring that goes to the seat on both the driver and passenger side. See if I see anything out of the ordinary, since I can't get a lot of service information out of it. Well, that's never good. Looks like somebody might have already been in here before, as there's some wire strippers in here. Though those could be from the guy that did the audio work. Free tool, huh? Let's see what we got here. Maybe. Well, I got that tool out, and as I did, I found a wire that's been cut back here in the back.
how much you want to bet that's what the problem is. So sometimes when service information is lacking, a good visual inspection will save your ass for sure. I'm going to go to the back, shine a flashlight on the situation and see where that wire's supposed to go. But I bet that's our issue. Oh, for sure. I know you guys can't see too well. That is our problem. It's supposed to go up underneath here and it crimps together. So let's see if we can't fix that. Okay, so what's interesting here is I went ahead to try to strip the insulation back, and it's some wire, but it's also got a tube, a plastic tube. So I'm gonna crimp it together before I get too crazy with, like, I don't want to heat this up or try to solder it because of that plastic tube. I don't know if that's some kind of portion of the pressure, weight, whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure. Not too familiar with these VWs, but I'm not sure if that has to do with part of the functionality of the weighted seat detection or whatever. So my hope is I can crimp this wire back together, clear the code, and see if it comes back on. I might have to replace the entire mat or seat in order to fix it, though. Man, there was almost nowhere to crimp that, because that is buried up in the seat hardcore. I actually pulled the wire down, slid the pliers down, and just pinched it with the plier portion because there was no way to actually crimp it. Oh, I hope this works. Let's give it a shot. All right, as I said, I'm not sure this is going to work, but we're going to try. Let's go into our vehicle history. It's not a 2-liter, though. At least it shouldn't be. I don't know. I was told it was a 2.5. It could be a 2-liter. Continue. All right, now let's go codes only. Too high. Now it says, look, seat occupied recognition sensor mat resistance too low. So in connecting that wire, we actually went from high to low. It's probably because there's not enough wire to connect it. You know what I'm saying? So circuit too high means there's an open. Circuit too low means there's not enough voltage being sent through the circuit. And that could happen from like cutting too many of the strands and trying to solder them together and not having enough strands connecting. So you have some restriction of flow. That is my interpretation of a high and low circuit. We're gonna clear codes and hope for the best. That's what we're gonna do. Let's go to data. Let's see what kind of data PIDs it gives us for the airbag. Okay. Airbag, correct. Igniter, not measurable, correct. Key switch, logic, not installed. Belt switch, driver's side, not connected because we don't have the seat belts buckled. Okay, airbag, igniter, driver's side, normal. 3.2, normal. 2.2, normal. Okay, here we go. Belt switch resistance status, driver's side, too low. Belt switch sensor resistance status, passenger side, too low. Nope, it's still on. So let's cycle the key off and we'll cycle it back on. Now let's come back into our codes. So now we have a B12251A seat occupied recognition sensor mat too low. And as I said, that's because of the wiring. I tried to crimp it to see if that would help us. It did not. There's a plastic strand, which I believe also has a wire inside of it that also is not connected with the other one. So At least we know what the problem is, I guess.
Alright guys, so as you saw throughout the video, we used a Solus Edge to pull the code. With the code, we went to direct hit. Direct hit kind of gave us a roundabout settings test that was kind of not practical because half the information was missing for us to actually do any kind of ohm test, resistance testing, ohm testing, volt drop, etc. So without being able to do that, what I did see was that a lot of people had said there was issues with the wiring. This is also something I'm actually familiar with because on the Chrysler products there's actually a connector that connects underneath the seat, and when a kid kicks it or a bottle hits it or something like that, it kind of throws things out of whack and sets an occupant restraint code. I've seen the same exact thing happen with the GMC that we have. The kids were in the back kicking and screaming and going nuts and whatever. Next thing you know, the sensor kind of came ajar and went through its parameters. The resistance values were good, the voltage values were good. Disconnected the connector, reconnected it, light went away, hasn't come back on. Not the case here with the Volkswagen. As you saw, because it did say that there had been issues with the wiring, we went after it. We looked underneath the driver's seat, no issues there. Went over to the passenger seat. Not only do we find some cheap wire stripping tool that I'm sure that the audio store used while they were doing the install, but we found a cut wire. That cut wire is what threw the code initially. So when it created a high circuit, that usually means there's an open. Clearly we had an open. I didn't have any heat shrink or solder here, but in order to actually justify my findings, I just used a quick little shade tree wire crimp the wires together. Now what I saw when I was stripping back the insulation was that there was a little plastic tube that also had a little tiny wire in the middle of it that would have connected to the other half. Hoping that that wasn't what I thought it was, I went ahead and crimped it anyways. So then we went from having a high code to a low code, and what that meant was that with the little wires that we had going to it and that little plastic tube in the middle, I'm thinking that there's an additional wire in the middle of that. There was no way for us to repair that without replacing either the occupant restraint sensor mat itself, which is internal to the seat, which means the seat cushions and everything else have to come apart. You have to change it or buy a new seat. So that's kind of where we're at. We went from a high code to a low code. We figured out what the problem is. So if you guys have this trouble code, I hope you found this video very informative and helpful. Make sure you check the wiring under the seat. That's usually a pretty good go-to spot for that kind of stuff. If you still don't see anything wrong with that, you might have to start going after seatbelt buckles because those also have wiring and sensors incorporated in them. And usually, like I've seen on a handful of GM as well as Chrysler products, on the inside of the belt buckle where it comes into the two contacts, one on each side, one of those contacts usually is a fault, and then the buckle has to be replaced. So just some food for thought. Don't throw parts at it. Check out your wiring. Try to see if there's a resistance test, or you can do a volt test and see if you can't get to the root cause. In this case, it was a pretty quick, down and dirty way of finding it. Just give a good visual inspection. We found the problem. That's all I got for this video, guys. Thanks as always for watching. We'll see you next time. Deuces.